Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to my YouTube channel, The School of Love. My name is Maria and I am helping people discover their inner potential for love towards oneself and towards the others. Today I am inviting you to join me in the second part of the 10 guidelines on how to be a decent human being, aka a good enough citizen. Like in the previous video, on how to be a decent human being or a good enough citizen, I start with a disclaimer. When I refer to good enough citizen, I do not promote mediocrity, but I'm talking about attaining that level of balanced existence, from which then one can start to strive towards an extraordinary life. So in order to become someone extraordinary, in order to become someone who's a role model for the others, an extraordinary role model for the others, one needs to attain the first balanced, good enough life. And so in the first video I talked about the basics, and in this video I'm going to talk about the more elaborate elements of being a good enough citizen, which already moves towards becoming an extraordinary human being. So let's get started. Number one, take radical responsibility for your life and understand that the greater the freedom you want to enjoy, the greater the responsibility which comes with it. You see, I already start with the hardcore stuff. So this means you cannot have freedom without responsibility. Essentially, when the French intellectuals promoted this idea of freedom, equality, and brotherhood, they refer to a concept of freedom which implied two major elements. The first one was respect the others. So my freedom ends where your freedom begins. Respectively, your freedom ends where my freedom begins. So do not hurt the others. Do not create problems to others. And second element is you have the freedom to do, to think, to say whatever you want, but you must take responsibility for the consequences of that freedom, or for the consequences what you're doing, saying, promoting in the name of that freedom. So freedom comes with responsibility. The greater the freedom, the greater the responsibility, and vice versa is valid as well. The greater the responsibility, the greater the freedom. Number two, explore your dark side, that is your shadow. What Carl Jung, the famous Swiss psychologist Carl Jung, called the shadow. And not only explore it, and see it, but embrace it, love it, and be grateful for allowing you to be what you have become, and to help you, to support you into becoming the best version of yourself in the future. I'll have a different video, an extra video on the shadow, on the concept of the shadow and how to explore it, how to integrate it, and not only integrate it, but express gratitude for having been there all along. Number three, it is crucial to understand that you cannot change the past, but you can build an amazing future while living in the present. So we have these three temporal dimensions we always refer to. Some New Age people would say, no, we actually live in the continuum. Anyway, understand that you're coming from somewhere. Yeah, this is your past. It's immutable and immovable. You cannot change it. It is there. But you can learn from it. And living in this beautiful present, you can then move forward towards the future. And learning from the past, this means you won't repeat those mistakes in the future. And you learn also from the good things in the past. You learn to enjoy the future and to prepare for a better future. No? So it is important to live in the present while learning from the past and preparing for the future. Number 4, know and accept yourself the way you are now. There are, each of us, all of us, we have elements which we do not like about ourselves, but there is no meaning in denying who we are and in trying um, to pretend we are someone else. There are people who know what they would like to be and how they would like to be and how they would like to live their life and pretend to be that. Personally, I don't understand it, and I don't understand how you can live while pretending to be someone you are not. I mean, wouldn't it be much easier to just be that person instead of pretending to be that person? But well, people think and are the way they think and are, and it's not my place to judge them. So it is very important to know who you are, to have a clear idea, as clear as possible, of who you would like to become, and then to work steadily, to practice steadily, to learn steadily towards becoming that person. Number 5, this is with special dedication to those who sometimes feel unimportant. You matter. You matter to yourself, to those around you, and to those who will come after you. So act accordingly. This also refers to the fact that, act as if everything you do matters. You'll notice that it changes. Your attitude, your behavior, your words, they change when you act in a manner as if you think everything you do matters. There is a nihilistic vision of the world where they say nothing matters. Nothing I do, I say, matters. And people who think like this, they tend to be very irresponsible, because they think it doesn't matter anyway, so I can do whatever I want. And that's a huge fallacy. I think it is a big danger, a great danger in this way of seeing oneself and the world, that whatever I do, it doesn't matter. No, it matters. Everything you do matters. So act accordingly. Number 7, failure is inevitable and a necessary part of life. Do everything you can, do your best. And in case of failure, learn the lesson and move on. By all means, avoid inaction caused by fear of failure. This connects nicely to number 5. So if you act as if everything you do or say matters, inevitably, so you'll take responsibility for being in this world, but failure is inevitable. Small ones, I always say there are no big failures. There are actually only concatenations of small failures which then lead to a calamitous result. But we do not tend to take big wrong decisions. We take small wrong decisions which then lead to by means of this what they call compound effect, which then lead to big bad outcomes. But there are no big bad decisions. Like let's say we do not we marry the wrong person, right? And they say that was a big decision and a very wrong decision. And it's not actually, we didn't decide I'm gonna marry a wrong person. We started by dating a person and then allowing for some red flags to just fly under our nose because, well, he or she had a bad childhood, he or she just had a difficult period of time, he or she didn't sleep well last night, and so on. So we allow things to happen, and then I cannot leave this person. Now we have been together for so many months, or I don't know how many years. And then okay, let's get married. Everybody gets married to their long-term partner, but that was so. You see, there were many wrong decisions in between, which then led to a bad outcome. But by all means, it is important to move forward. And even if we did discover at some point it was the wrong concatenation of events, still we have to do something, because not doing anything is still a decision. So every decision we take, every choice we make is a choice against something else. And if we choose not to do something, it's actually a choice against doing something. And my idea is that in the end, it's not my wisdom, other people have said it, in the end we regret the things we didn't do rather than the things we dared to do. Number 7, this is a big one. Turn envy into admiration and motivation. Envy is a very powerful emotion, and we all feel it. It's inevitable, like failure. And if you read the book by Robert Greene, The Laws of Human Nature, a monumental book, I recommend it as the Bible for starting a good life, a good and extraordinary life. If you read that book, you'll see that envy is described as such a powerful and destructive force that if we do not learn to control it, to become aware of it and then to control it, it can ruin our lives and other people's lives. And the easiest way to control envy is to become aware of it. And then to turn it into admiration and motivation. So when you see someone has a car, and you instead of envying that person, so envy is the first emotion. Envy also includes a sense of shame, because it's something, by feeling envy, we automatically recognize at some level that person is better than me, or that person has something I want to have and I cannot have, and probably I don't have it, or I cannot have it because I am lesser than that person. So it's a very complex emotion. It's a complex, and it includes all these primordial emotions, I would say, like shame, which is the lowest on this vibrational scale of emotions, and then we repress shame by turning it into a sort of guilt. I shouldn't actually feel this. I should actually enjoy what she or he has, or what she or he has become, and from there it only goes downwards. Like it's a cycle of repressing negative emotions and then turning them into other negative emotions, which then somehow at some point allow us through rationalization to do the negative things we shouldn't be doing out of envy. So instead of doing that, it is more the only solution and the easiest way of dealing with envy is to turn it into admiration. Wow, that person worked very hard to achieve those things. To turn it into admiration and then into motivation. I can do that too. So she's a fabulous person, or he is a fabulous human. I can do that too. I look at them with admiration, and this motivates me to become a better self. So I should probably put this point envy at the beginning or at the end, because it is so fundamentally important, and it can turn into such a destructive force that one must get hold of it seriously. Number 8. When you hurt others, apologize sincerely and propose ways to amend for your mistakes. Do not dilute the apologies with excuses, explanations, pretexts. Conversely, when others hurt you and apologize, forgive and move on. Depending on the transgression, Be extremely careful with second chances. The bigger the transgression, the higher caution with further chances are required. Someone is singing outside, and it's kind of distracting. So what I mean by that is we are always like a human in specific types of interactions, and we have to be careful when with apologizing. And this transition between being in a sort of defensiveness, or in the defensive stance, well, I've done wrong and I'm sorry, and can we now move on? So this is one point. But what happens when we are on the receiving end of the bad behavior? In those cases, we forgive, even if there was no excuse. We forgive, we move on, and then we are very careful with giving second chances or third chances or millions chances. If the person doesn't show proactively, or at least actively, that she or he regrets and makes amends and does her or his best to improve, then it's best to keep distance. It also happens, there's no excuses, no apologizes, the person doesn't think he or she has done something wrong and simply continues to behave poorly. In that case, don't try to prove your value, don't try to make amends, don't try to move closer, don't try to convince them that it's a pity to have such a strained relationship. Move on, take your distance, and just ignore them, cut them off. Again, this is one very important lesson from Robert Greene's book, The Laws of Human Nature. Unfortunately, I haven't always respected it, or I have learned it way too late in life. It's very important. Don't try to prove your value. Don't try to convince people that it is worth living with you. Don't try to move toward them when they clearly show that they don't want it, or that they just behave very badly. Yeah, just cut them off. Number 9. Remember that everything is temporary, or what the Stoics called memento mori. All big religions, and later on all big philosophies, have acknowledged at some point this issue that everything changes. Good things come and go, bad things come and go, nothing lasts forever, as the song goes, and this too shall pass. So don't enjoy the good times, stick it through the bad times, fully aware that whatever comes, it will go away at some point as well. What is important is to just when times are really difficult, and let's say nowadays there is a sort of decline on a historical scale, and globally speaking, we experience all sorts of reorientations, let's put it like this. In such situations, my opinion is to lay low, to lead a low-key life, and wait until things settle down, because they eventually settle down. What happens is that most people start to move frantically and to look for solutions and to get into panic, and then they start falling, start falling from this social net of interhuman interactions. They start to, because they're panicking, they start to take wrong decisions, and so one of the solutions is just stay calm, and things eventually will get better. Things will settle down, and then they will start to move upward again. This is a fundamental law of the universe. Everything, that decline and growth, they always follow each other. And last but not least, number 10, happiness is a choice, as is love. So a sense of contentment is easier to attain and to keep than happiness. So I already have a different video on happiness and contentment, and why it is important to be content rather than to chase happiness. But for the sake of this video, which is already too long, so happiness is overrated by all means, and by all stretches of imagination. But contentment, this feeling of balance and of belonging and of being one in harmony with the universe and with the others, that is much more valuable, and this is what we should be striving for. So thank you for being with me today, and I'm looking forward to welcoming you again very soon. Love and peace to you all.